It's weekly reading update time, and boy do I have a lot of books for you this week. I haven't been feeling super well. It might be seasonal allergies, but I've been spending a lot of time reading. So we're gonna go a little bit more rapid fire than maybe we usually do, but my first book for you today is Finally Fitz. This is a YA contemporary about a bisexual girl who is breaking up with her girlfriend while she's in this prestigious fashion program, but at the same time, she meets a boy who she used to know in her childhood, and maybe they start falling in love. I thought this book was super cute. It's sometimes a little bit heavy on the pop culture references in a way that feels like a millennial trying to reference Gen Z more than anything organic to Gen Z. However, at the same time, this book reminded me a lot of like a queer version of a Casey West novel in that, yes, it's a romance, but it's also really about the character's like development and coming of age and her actualization. Of course, I finished the Elsewhere Book Club pick for May, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I thought this book was not bad. It's definitely cozy sci-fi in the same vein as cozy fantasy, Legends and Lattes type of story. And you can tell that Becky Chambers put so much love into these characters and that she just loves writing about them and their relationships to one another. At the same time, though, I do not know if this book needed to be this long, because sometimes the pacing starts to flag. Nevertheless, I thought this was really cute, and I have heard that the next books in the series are better, so I definitely want to check those out. I read the first volume of Lore Olympus because I'd never read it before, and I have an entire classics MA now, so I felt like I need to read Lore Olympus. Everybody I know either loves it or hates it. I, however, mostly just felt meh. The art is really lovely, and I think the artist really excels at drawing the gods, where a lot of the times they just kind of look like normal people, but then something will happen and they seem completely otherworldly. The story, however, felt super meh. It kind of felt like a typical drama, high society, soap opera type of story, and I did not get into it. Another meh book was Salt and Broom. This is a witchy retelling of Jane Eyre. I think witchy retellings must be in vogue lately because I've read a non-trivial amount of them. One that I liked that I thought worked really well was The Scandalous Confessions of Lydia Bennet, Witch. I went into that book extremely skeptical and very protective of Jane Austen, and then I was ultimately extremely impressed. The author of Lydia Bennet, Witch does a great job of creating a story that stands on its own, but also has a lot of fun callbacks to Pride and Prejudice, and so I think it works on both levels. It feels like its own unique world with its own unique magic. Salt and Broom, on the other hand, it felt like the magic was the least well-developed part of this whole book, which was interesting because the acknowledgements actually talk about how the author did all this research into witchcraft, both modern and historical. I didn't feel like any of that came through on the page, and I gave this book 2 stars. And last but not least, I've got Where the Dark Stands Still. I mean, look at the cover on this book. It is absolutely stunning, so beautiful. And this book is essentially Howl's Moving Castle, but with Polish mythology. The good news about this book is that it is gorgeously written. Like, the writing really matches the cover. It is luscious, it is beautiful. The bad news about this book is that sometimes it hews so closely to Howl's Moving Castle that it loses its own identity. I mean, basically every character in this book has some kind of analog in Howl's. And sometimes I felt like the author was so focused on, creating witty banter, creating a character dynamic that is super similar to Sophie and Howl, that she lost sight of what these actual characters were and the story she was actually writing. Because again, the writing style is beautiful, the setting is gorgeous and dark and gothic, but the thing about Howl's Moving Castle is that it's not gorgeous and dark and gothic. Howl's Moving Castle is very much cozy fantasy. It's fun, there's witty banter, and so I felt like those two tones were really in tension in this novel, and not in a good way. That being said, though, I still gave this 3 stars. I don't know if I would recommend it, but if what I've described sounds super cool to you, if you think it sounds really fun, then do check it out because it is competently written. Whew, okay, that's what I read this week. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week.